goal is to bring you your next favorite band.
Sweet, that intro is my new favorite band. That's phenomenal. I'm so excited to be on.
Yeah. I heard a rumor that you might be able to play that song live today.
You heard correctly. Yes.
Excellent. So,
good enough for Robin.
I don't know when I rock out here on your next favorite band and show.
and listen, it's going to be everybody's favorite band.
Phil, you weren't supposed to make me get all... God almighty,
But this
Phil.
is why we do it.
Like, seriously. I gotta gather myself. All right, go ahead.
Okay.
Welcome to your next favorite band. That's both the show title and our promise to you. We here at Stereophilia Studio are tireless in our pursuit of finding incredible, genre-defiant artists who are either a hot, up-and-coming band or a group that has been delivering for years but have flown under the radar.
Tonight, we have the garage-kept surf punk rock and roll madness of Drew and the Blue.
Each month, we will bring you live streams, audio podcasts, and perhaps even a live concert where you can listen to the stories and hear the music of artists personally curated by us based on what we feel will be worthy of your time. Be sure to subscribe and tune in to each episode because the possibilities are endless and you never know who will be your next favorite band.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. I am your host, Philip Reese.
And I am your co-host, James McLean.
And you are listening to
Your next favorite band.
Nice. And thank you to James for joining tonight.
Always
Wonderful
a pleasure. It's
wonderful
kind of fun
to have
be
you
on this side.
Yeah. This is you were actually part of our kind of very first offerings back when we were creating our own show. So we were kind of a guest host for music-related content on Lehigh Valley with Love with George Wacker. And then as we were kind of like breaking that off and establishing your next favorite band, the very first episodes we did were highlights from those interviews mixed with viewers like yourself to kind of just give, validation to anybody who was going to be listening. And you and your whole fam came on, Sandy as well as Jay, who's a musician.
It's great because, normally I just get to listen. I don't get to watch the podcast as much as listen. So this is an opportunity for me to watch, and just even the intro, I'm like doing a bingo card. Okay, I saw that. Like as I see the band, okay, I know them. I see them. I saw them. I'm like bingo.
That is fantastic. That is true. Like
it's because of this show. Like I a lot of it. Obviously, we have Musikfest in our area.
Sure.
But and a lot of people come through that way. But
that's right. You saw the Shane Guerrette show, right? With where he opened for Quinn Sullivan. We went to that show together.
Yep.
And so there's that content right out front. There was Archive. There's other stuff.
It's just tremendous. I'm like Commodore. Everybody. Yep. It's just a tremendous amount of talent that just kind of. And I'm like. And then I'm like, and I remember when I saw them on the show too, or I saw them, at Musikfest or whatever. It's great.
Well, thank you for being a loyal listener, and thank you for now being a guest co-host.
I want $50 at
That's
the
right.
end.
Well, you've got it. The interesting part is what you just talked about is there are definitely people who are live stream viewers, and then there are definitely people who are podcast downloads. And I'm glad that you said that because perhaps people who are only ever really listened to the audio only. Might want to check out an episode here and there that's on YouTube or Facebook. It's out there that way as well. Just because it's a different experience because you're getting to see these performers actually right in front of you. But if they just want to do it as the audio, all good there too. But we are super pumped for our guest tonight. Was the Musikfest magic moment for me. And I love when it can also be a local band. So that's such a great combo. But here's a question for you, James. What is your take on if you go to a concert wearing the band t-shirt of the band you're going to see? Like, is that a no-no or is that something you're cool with? Like, what's your take on that?
Oh, no, you totally can do that. I mean, and sometimes, I find it's particularly the older, the better. Like they really appreciate when it's historical, like
Sure. Yeah.
that kind of thing. Oh, that's like
A
back when
vintage
we were
one.
doing dive clubs and stuff
Right.
or whatever.
Yeah, because actually tonight I am wearing my Drew in the Blue cigarette T-shirt.
Nice.
And so I don't normally do that. For people who, I've talked about it a little bit, but so people who either know or don't know, I always have a very conscious choice around the T-shirt I wear based on who the guest is. And rarely is it on the nose as, oh, it's the T-shirt of the band. But I was so excited for this one. I'm also like, this shirt's amazing. It's brand new music from them. So it's not the throwback one, but it's newer music from them. Actually, they've released this song, Cigarette. They've also released like 2 others since then. One's coming out tomorrow. And so just really cool stuff. So I couldn't help myself. I wanted to support the band in so many ways because I'm just such a big fan of Drew and the Blue that not only did we want to feature their story and their music, but also their merch.
And and to your point, and you reiterate this every time, in today's music industry, the merch means so much to the artist as far as the value that they get back from those purchases. So
yes. Yeah. Unfortunately, streaming or digital downloads don't really bring much to the artist. Even on like a Bandcamp Friday, that'll maximize it. It's still not a ton. One T-shirt purchase or one vinyl purchase is like the equivalent of like 5,000 streams. And so for, again, a smaller independent DIY artist who's local to us, but any person who's local, like whatever town you're in, if you have a local band that you appreciate, buy their merch. It's the best way to support them. So for tonight's interview, we actually pre-recorded it because we got invited down to Reading, Pennsylvania to the Drew and the Blue Garage where they practice and record some stuff. And so we did all that down there. But before we get to the interview, 3 other things I wanted to do. First, I wanted to kind of say thank you. If you remember, the last 2 weeks we featured, 2 weeks ago was Philly Musikfest founder Greg Seltzer, and then last week was Reef the Lost Cause. He was one of the performers on the lineup. It was a full week of music in the Philly Musikfest lineup. And what we wanted to kind of highlight is on Saturday during Philly Musikfest is Inside Hustle, and it's a free music networking event. And this year, they added the podcast room. So, like, basically, it's an event where musicians can go listen to, like, a panel of experts talk about something. And then there's, like, an hour and a half where they can walk around and meet the people who book local venues, the people who have local record labels, people who are PR firms, and more than that, radio stations, so they can figure out how to get their song played on the air. So they're just going around and getting kind of mentored and networking, and it's a great thing. And this particular time, they've been doing it for 6-7 years now. So this year they added a podcast room to give that kind of coaching to these people who were attending to say, how do I get on a podcast to feature my music? And we were asked. So Your Next Favorite Band was one of the podcasting people there. And I just wanted to say thank you to Greg, because he basically is the founder and the director of like the entire Philly Musikfest event. And then WXPN also supports the entire thing. And so there's amazing, thanks to them, especially Bruce Warren, who basically is I think his email signature says like the responsible for a lot of things is like his title. And so thank you to Bruce and to Greg and to the entire event, Rec Philly, where it went on. But it was like this very cool thing. And the other podcasters who have been guest hosts on this show, and they've had me on their show, Nate Runkle of Yo, That's My John, and Dan Drago of 25 O'Clock. That was the 3 of us in that room doing whatever we could to kind of share, some advice to different people. It's a very cool event.
Brilliant.
So it made me feel like, legitimate. It was like a kind of fun thing. I was like, whoa, they must have they emailed the wrong person. But that was just very cool. It was very validating. Then the next thing I wanted to do was actually formally announce our show. So we did a save the date for Winter Wonder Jam, December 6th. It's a Friday, Bethlehem, Godfrey Daniels, and now we're ready to announce the full lineup. So this is kind of breaking news. Are you ready, James?
Hold on. Yes.
Okay. So here's the lineup. This is who's going to be performing. So those of you who know, and we've had them on twice, the Radiohead tribute band, They're There. The front man of that is Joe Edelman. basically playing the Tom York character. Some people may or may not know this, but he has his own solo music, and so he's going to come and perform that music and probably some Radiohead covers and also some holiday covers, and it'll be fun. Also, Emma Bachrath, who's local here to the Lehigh Valley, she came on during the Musikfest week, and her brand new music is stunning. It's awesome, and I can't wait to feature that. And then kind of kicking things off, we thought we'd have some fun with some comedy. So Kate Hughes, local comedian, is going to make everybody kind of have some guffaws and some laughter and some good holiday cheer. And there will be tidings of great joy. So Kate Hughes, Emma Bachrath, Joe Edelman, it's going to be a great night. One thing to remind everybody is, in the past, we've live streamed the event and mixed the pre-recorded, because we always ask anybody who's been on the show during the calendar year, if you want to contribute a song, we'd love to have you on and kind of reflect on who's been on in the year and have that kind of be this like reflection back on the year. We're actually going to separate those. So Tuesday night leading into that week, so December 3rd, is going to be the all virtual pre-recorded messages and music of people who've been on the show in the year. And then the Friday night, December 6th, is not going to be streamed. So if you're interested and you want to be there for Joe and Emma and Kate, buy the ticket and come to the show. And so basically there's 2 times to be able to kind of bask in the Winter Wonder Jam and the tidings of great joy. But one you have to be there for in person, and the other one is more virtual. So what do you think of the lineup, James?
Yeah, very exciting. I mean, I've been fortunate enough to be local, so I can get to those relatively easy. I mean, it's not that hard to drive from a pretty broad distance, but very exciting. It'll be really neat because I think, as much as I enjoyed having the clips integrated in, it broke some of the energy sometimes.
Sure.
So it'll be great. It'll be and it's such an intimate place for those who haven't been to Godfrey Daniels. It's just a great, I think a listening room. So you're right there. It's like reach out and touch.
It's is a BYO. So like they don't sell liquor, but you can bring your own beer or wine. So it's a really nice experience where you can kind of kick off the holiday season. It'll be the week after Thanksgiving. So come on down, enjoy all of that, and support the artists and Godfrey Daniels.
And I wrote down guffaws because really I haven't heard that word in so long. I need to write it down to remind me to use that more often.
I was definitely losing my direction, but so okay. We covered what happened last weekend. We covered what's happening in December. There's one thing I want to cover here. This will bring us into this Halloween theme. This is one other PSA. Next week's Election Day, go vote. Basically have your voice be heard and exercise that right and responsibility and duty, however you want to look at it, but definitely next Tuesday or ahead of time, make sure you go vote. Very important. But tomorrow is Halloween. And so I just want to make sure everybody knows this. This is how to eat candy corn. Number 1, you open the bag. Number 2, you pour the candy corn into the trash can. And number 3, you eat a Reese's peanut butter cup.
Wow, that's just cold. just cold. Clearly, you've never had them where you put them on your canines and you have the.
Oh, you can do that first and then throw them in the trash can.
Okay. Well.
Now, one of the reasons why that's important is, and we'll get into this in the interview with Drew and the Blue. In fact, they're tuned in here. They are live. So if anybody is tuned in, give us some commentary. But here's Drew and the Blue saying, "Looking good, man. Thank you so much, Drew." Hopefully all of the Blue are listening. So basically, their music can have a sound that's, we talk about it in the interview, but basically it can have a darkness to it. There's even some songs that they lean all the way into a Halloween theme. Sometimes it's just that kind of like darkish, punkish kind of sound. But so to highlight their music right around Halloween, especially a couple of the songs, the one we're going to feature at the very end is a total Halloween anthem. But in the meantime, let's definitely get into some music here. Let's feature, this is kind of like we always talk about like the gateway song, the one that maybe like opens the door to introduce you to a band. They have this amazing song called I Love You to Death. So we're going to play that a little bit here. Pay attention to the opening scene because we talk about stuff right off the top in the interview because it's a very, very cool story. So pay attention to the opening scene and then definitely love the music here. Here is I Love You to Death by Drew and the Blue. garage-kept rock and roll madness. Established in 2018 in Reading, Pennsylvania, of Drew and the Blue. So let's dive into the interview with Mandy, Drew, and Taylor. So there you heard some just incredible music. I Love You to Death by Drew and the Blue.
We love you too, man.
It's such a great... I mean, we're going to get into all sorts of fun conversations about this, but what I thought was super important off the top here is in that video, it's actually a real-life wedding proposal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's actually in there that no one know but you?
That day, no one knew but me.
That's incredible. Because the cameraman was even getting annoyed at you or something like that? Yeah.
So that quick story is if you watch Love You to Death, it opens with a proposal, which looks staged. But
yeah.
No, that I knew I was going to propose to my now wife.
Right.
I just didn't know when or how. And
so nothing like...
I had a ring
Oh, but right.
for a few months, and truth be told, we were about to go embark on a 3-week road trip. And I was like, oh man, I'm going to drive all over the country with this thing and then just worry about
Sure.
what I'm going to do. So I brought it with me on the shoot because I was like, well, that would be kind of funny if I did that. And and then I didn't tell, Taylor's my fucking, ride or die friend forever. Yep. Didn't tell him or anybody because I was like, if they know, then they're going to expect me to do it. And then I was like, I didn't want any expectations.
No, right. And then if you didn't feel it in the moment, you could always back away.
Yeah, I had it in my pocket, and everybody was temperature hot because it was hot in the barn.
Yep.
And everybody, tensions get high when you're shooting things. So we did so many takes, and then on one of the last ones, I was like, just do it, man, just do it. And
that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a fun story.
And so, Bride didn't know.
Bride did not know. No.
So did she think you were just effing with her?
Yeah. So quite. So I could send you the actual track. I said, what was it exactly? I said, I got on my knee. I said, will you marry me? I said, this is real. Will you marry me? And she goes, shut the fuck up. So then there's another couple seconds where I'm like,
is that a yes or a no?
Yeah, right? Yes. So that's the truth. If you heard the actual raw audio, that's how it went. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Well, thank you. And she married me, and it's a year later, so we're doing all right.
All right, nice.
Yeah.
Well, I got to think, too, my wife knows I'm a knucklehead, and she'll just roll her eyes at random stuff like that. So, I'm sure by now she's in for it. Yeah.
She's down with what we're going
right.
to.
And that song, in addition to being a killer track, is kind of hilarious. Did you write it for her? Is that...
No, not necessarily. I'm thinking of the lyrics and what it is. No, it was kind of just if you had to write a love song, but you're a rock and roll band, and I don't feel really much...
And the only reason why I ask is we had a guy on, Blair Crimmins, and his name is Blair Crimmins and the Hookers. And
he was at Musikfest.
Yes, exactly right.
Yeah.
Great band. Amazing band.
Yes. Yeah.
And he wrote the song, so he's going to write a song for his wife as a wedding gift, and he wrote a song called It's All Over Now. And it was all about all the great things of being about a bachelor. Now, she's a comedian, so she got it, but at the same point, it was this, he's written other beautiful love songs for her, but that one was this one that's hilarious, and I just thought it would be this funny thing.
Yeah. They're cool, man.
Yeah, they're stellar. It's absolutely amazing. But okay, so let's introduce everybody. I wanted to jump right on that music and that incredible story about the video. But Drew West, Mandy Veloz, and Taylor Lawrence.
You got it.
And let's have you introduce each of yourselves. One thing we love doing is going back to the beginning of where music really kind of grabbed a hold of you. So if you don't mind, and actually we're going to start up that end because I know there's some interesting stories about a drum kit, but let's talk about being where did music really just enter into your brain and not let go?
Well, just like most people growing up, my parents liked a lot of music, this was around, the late 90s or the 2000s, all the music videos that were still on that time. So there's just all that stuff, and hip hop and rap was a big thing at that time with our age group. But really cutting to the chase, the main thing that really grabbed me by the balls, if I can say that.
Of course.
I went and saw Van Halen
Awesome.
with my dad, and that just everything changed from there. And
Yeah.
there's really not much more to say.
Awesome. That's fantastic. Yeah. Where did was a guitar your first instrument, or like? Yep. Okay, cool. And then where did that happen? And
that was like roughly 4th, 5th grade. I think I started taking lessons and doing that, and then I saw Van Halen in 6th grade, or the summer between 6th and 7th, and up until that point, I was learning a couple songs and kind of having fun with it, a little bored with it, but then after that it was just all in, and I needed to learn how to do that, be that.
The Eddie Van Halen component of it.
Everything.
Absolutely.
And I never looked back.
Nice. Very cool. Very cool. Mandy.
So I was originally a guitar player, but then my guitar teacher was really a bass player, so he got me on the bass train. And I think I really, truly fell in love with music when I listened to Ray Brown. And he's a jazz bassist. He plays with Oscar Peterson and a whole bunch of other people. Yeah. And so he gave me the album, Oscar Peterson's album, We Take Requests.
Oh, awesome.
And then as soon as I heard that, I knew I wanted to be a bass player. So, but at the time, I had an electric bass. And I later switched to upright and played upright in college. So I was listening to electric players as well. And my friend's dad told me about a bassist named Tal Wilkenfeld, and she played with Jeff Beck and just a whole bunch of other people. And so I listened to her, and I fell in love with her music. And so that's where it really took off for me.
That's fantastic. And any other, either teachers or influencers along the way?
So, well, when I was growing up, my teacher was Louis Rieger, and he really changed my life. I mean, I really was not sure what direction I wanted to take my life in, but after taking lessons with him and seeing his life, I was like, well, that's what I want. Right. And so, and then when I went to college, I studied with Professor Scott Lee, and then actually Drew and I met in college, and we were under tutelage of Dr. Chose. We were in the jazz band together, and so Dr. Chose is obviously a big influence in my life as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so amazing how there's always that person that just kind of nudges you in this direction or that, and kind of either, validates something or takes worries away or whatever. And I just always like hearing those stories. It's pretty amazing. I always have a little hope that maybe that person hears it. It's because maybe they don't even know this amazing impact they made on somebody, and it's just really cool. Drew.
Yeah, I think for sure I started taking lessons I started band in 4th grade, and my best friend at the time played saxophone, who we were both friends at the time, well, 3 of us. I think we just mostly played Pokemon cards and nothing.
Perfect, yeah.
But his name was Eric, and he wanted to play saxophone. He was my friend. I was like, well, I'll just play saxophone. And I remember standing in line and then seeing a drum over somewhere else, and I was like, I'm gonna do that instead.
Oh, fun!
And so
just the aesthetic image of it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and this is a story my mom has told me. So from my memory is not super sharp about it, but
that's what you have moms for.
Yeah, that was the kickoff. And then from there, I took lessons.
I read something where you received a drum kit in 6th grade.
Yeah, so...
And, to me, that's always, this funny thing of, parents let's get him a drum kit. And then, 5 minutes later, regretting that decision.
They were cool as
hell. No, but it seems that way,
They're still super cool. So jump ahead. So I started taking lessons. I only ever had to practice pad. It's a quiet way to practice. Right. And what happened was one day I came home. It was a big surprise, and I was in 6th grade. I got a drum set. And knew he played guitar, and immediately called him. I was like, dude, I got a drum set. Sure. And it's I don't even know what we're going to play, but just come over. Right. Because at that time...
Let's play some Van Halen.
Well, there was a little of that, for sure. We both knew, when you're a kid and our age and our parents, so we're our 30s and our parents or whatever. So it's AC/DC, Zeppelin, Sabbath, Metallica, the Stones. And those are all things I heard. I think I fell in love with Metallica before anything else. Sure. And I had a great teacher named Spiro. He's still around. He's still teaching. I'm not sure where he's at anymore right now. But no, I just had great people supporting me for a long time. And like Mandy said, met in college. Because we've been jamming our whole life since.
Right. So there it is, 4th, 5th, 6th grade. You're already tight.
Yeah.
And then, is it just a 2-person jam session at that point, or were there other members of or was it other bands or stuff like that?
Other bands.
Yeah, we've had various incarnations of different bands over the course of the history and stuff. But
But the two of you have always been the through line.
Yeah, I think we were only ever in. I was in a couple bands without you in it, and vice versa. But it was always at the end. We never didn't jam. You know, it might have been like didn't have a clear idea what we wanted to do, so we just screw around or
right.
Especially during like college era when you don't know what you're doing in life.
Right.
And yeah, I didn't know. I was
sure.
I mean, I went to school for criminal justice in the beginning, and I don't know what I really thought I was going to do. And I was like, why am I not? I literally was like, I should probably play drums, which is so dumb, but I didn't think of it initially. But yeah, so
I think you're probably balancing that with, am I going to have that as a career? Am I going to disappoint my parents? Like, you've got all this shit going on at 19, 20 years old, and it's like, you also thought you were one person and you became somebody else. Like, that's around a time of a lot of self-discovery. So.
Yeah, I mean, and they always were like forever like supportive. Like how long ago were we still in their basement?
Yeah.
Till my wife and I bought this house. We were we did record our jam in our old apartment, but when in between there, when I had nowhere to go, it was like, hey, can we still use the basement? And you're like, 26, 27, 28.
Sure.
Like, am I still in the basement?
I think wasn't the EP. I think I remember recording in
right here. So
I can remember setting up the amps in your parents' basement.
Yeah, so this EP,
there. Perfect. Yeah,
surfing on a surfboard.
Those pictures were taken in their house.
Yeah, these were taken in their hallway.
Amazing.
I think we're kind of doing like a Tarantino ripoff sort of something. And then in the back, this is like a live shot, so it's really hard to see. I'll hold it up. It's a terrible picture. We look stupid.
No, you don't.
I'm speaking for me, but no, we did. We recorded this in my parents' basement. I kind of forgot about that. Yeah, man,
but
so on and so forth.
We mentioned it in the beginning, like before we jumped to the interview. We mentioned we are in your garage. Like this is a very cool like space. I mean, like you can just feel it coming in here. That there's music happening here. Like it's got some rock and roll vibe to it.
Thank you.
And so kind to have like this is your garage of your house, and you let me come and set up here, and we're gonna have you guys rip a couple tunes after this, but it's like thank you for letting us kind of set up the interview here.
Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, absolutely. And you did like there's this amazing coffin.
This is just brand
placement of some of the merch. We always like to sling merch. There's some very cool like vinyl and EPs and such and CDs to purchase. Awesome T-shirts too, by the way.
Thank you.
And then there's also some cool art you were telling me about over there.
Oh yeah, well I can speak to that.
Yeah, I'll bring up an image of it here, but there's
kind of asked you if you saw. So there's a recent slasher film I don't know how recent it is anymore. But there's Terrifier 1, 2, and now 3 just came out. It's like
sure. There were so many unanswered questions.
Truth be told, I never saw any of them. I lost my gut for horror movies, like the gory ones.
Right. Yes.
But so a long time ago, when I was way nerdier than I am now, I was at Comic-Con, like NYCC, which is like a big Comic-Con. So we'd always dress up, me and my friends. Anyways, we went. I saw this like really spooky art this one did.
And here it is up on the screen.
Yeah, and so. It was super cool, and so I stopped and talked to her for a little bit, and they said, I followed them on YouTube, and slowly their son was getting involved in music and also like acting, sort of. And now, cut to, I saw Terrifier 2 like commercial or whatever it was. What am I looking for? Trailer.
Yeah.
And it's her son, and I'm like, holy shit, I know that guy. Like, I know all those people. Like, we're not like tight friends.
I bought his mom's artwork.
Yeah. And it was just cool because it's kind of the vibe we like to have.
Oh, totally. It's very cool.
But yeah, good for Elliot Fulham. That's his name, and his parents are really cool. And yeah, so that's how that art got in his garage.
And I think that's interesting too. So like, there's definitely this, there's you play songs that involve Halloween.
Sure.
Plenty that don't. But there is genuinely this like, I don't know, darkness vibe to like that kind of goes with the theme of the band, and I just think it's very cool. Like it always has, it kind of adds this mysterious moment of like I don't know where this is going, but I kind of like it.
Yeah. Well, thanks. I think that might be a lot of me. I mean, I know I don't want to say just with that influence. Like I know you love horror movies too, so we kind of grew up on similar like movies. Sure. But there's so much of me that fell in love with like the Misfits and the Cramps early on, all of those horror punk things. Not to put yourself in a corner, but it's baked in. That's why it just comes out. And,
yeah. And it it is what it is. I mean, like, no reason to deny it. Like, just lean right in.
And we love it. I mean, I love it. So, thanks for the compliment.
And so now college happens, and that's where you two meet. And then is that also like a very natural progression to saying, do you want to start a band together? Or like, how did that evolution happen where the trio kind of comes together?
Well, they were in a so Drew and the Blue was originally just Drew and Taylor, and then I wasn't here for this part, but Taylor told Drew that we really need a bass player, and Drew was like, nah, we don't need a bass player, and Taylor was like, no, we like legitimately need a bass player. And so
it was like an ultimatum. I'm like, all right, we'll hire a bass.
I'm sick of playing guitar solos. I can only imagine what the audience is out there.
Yeah, so one day Drew just walked up to me and was like, hey, do you want to like try jamming with our band? And so we got together for one rehearsal, and then he said, oh, we have a gig at Mike's Tavern later this week. Do you want to play? I was like, yeah, sure. And so he sent me like 50 tunes, because it was like a 3-hour set.
We did a lot of covers back, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
And so he's like, yeah, learn these by like Wednesday or whatever the day was. And so I did the gig, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that was really fun. And then a couple weeks later, Drew called, and he's like, hey, do you want to play with us again sometime? I was like, yeah, sure, I'd love to play with you again. And he's like, cool, get out your calendar. And every weekend of that summer was booked, and I was like, hey, Drew, am I like in the band?
Yeah. Am I a blue now?
Yeah. So, that's exactly what it was.
So now it starts to come together, and that beginning part of where it moves from covers to more originals. There's some magic happening. So how did that kind of feel as that was coming together?
Do you remember when I said, this was like early on,
yeah.
And I think about this because it's so dumb, but it was year one that just Taylor and I, so this was like 2016 maybe, and I was so stoked and like, just in my head, ego dumb, and it was like, dude, if we like, we could do like a mini tour and like go down south, and it was, you were just like, we don't have any originals. And it didn't even occur to me. I was just like, oh yeah, like, because we were just jamming on that time, like Ray Charles blues tunes, and like other. I'm trying to think of what I would like. Howlin' Wolf, a little bit of Lightning Hopkins, like some Beatles, like John Lee Hooker. And in my head, I was like, oh, it's blues. Everybody just rips the blues, and but it was so dumb. And I was like, man, our whole lives we've been in cover bands. Like, why are we not trying to try to write something? If it sucks, then it sucks.
Right.
So that was kind of, I forget your question already, but.
Well, just how it starts to move where you're writing originals and it feels good.
I think I started to feel, I don't know how you felt, I'll just speak quickly. I was getting bored with it.
The covers.
Yeah, and that's where there's only a certain level you can rise to, and then you're where you are. Right? And so that was I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. I think like, I mean, especially our history, and I feel like it's true for a lot of bands, like, it's like that natural progression of you start out, you get together, you learn some songs, you play them, stuff that everybody likes, and then slowly that just transitions to, okay, let's start writing stuff. And I feel like that's what we've kind of always done with all the different things. It just kind of morphed out of that. All right, cool, we've been playing, got it all happening, now let's like start doing stuff.
Yeah. And then is this, again, darkness kind of vibe, is everybody into it, or is there times that Drew does something and you're like, what the hell was that, dude?
Don't answer that.
No, he said it good earlier. Like, we have those similar influences. We line up with so many things, and I love it. I'm also such a sucker for happy, good feeling pop, harmonies and all that stuff. And, with this thing, I kind of suppress all that and just put it, over to the side. And, we all have, like, such influences in everything.
Yeah.
I would say you certainly, like, lead the charge with all the, the imagery, the darkness, and what have you. It's all fun.
I couldn't think of a good word for it.
No, we sound like a goth band.
Like other people are like, Halloween is just one small aspect of this, so to kind of stay there didn't feel right. And I was just like, well, what is it about? Like, what is a haunted house like the rest of the year?
Yeah.
It's kind of dark. So like, but again, like you're drawn to it. Like it has an attractive quality to it.
It's like, I don't know if it's the best example, but Nick Cave. Everything he touches, it's not like a creepy band.
Right.
It just has
but you're right.
that darkness to it.
Yes.
So yeah, and I like Nick Cave a lot. I don't think you'd hear that in our music, but that influence. But I don't know. That's just one. There's probably many. There is many examples. It's just Yeah, I don't know.
From an influence. So again, like. There were times you were performing at Musikfest, and we'll get to that experience in a minute or two. That I wasn't able to see you perform, but this year I was like, God damn it, I'm gonna go see this freaking band because you're always in a top must-see category for me, but I just couldn't work it out for whatever reason. I mean, you got 15 stages of music, so there's very often overlapped or just incapable of getting between this stage too far from that one or whatever. But this year I'm like, we're going, and I got there and I was just like, so as I'm listening to it, the stuff that jumps out for me is surf punk was kind of the best thing I could say, because it's not really surf rock, because there's definitely punk in there for sure. Surf is in there, and we kind of shun genre labels, but sometimes people just like to talk about it. But I ended up getting more into, like you said it before, Tarantino. Like, that was actually more of the vibe that I was getting. It should be in some of his movies, or his early ones.
I just watched Death Proof last night, so it's just kind of funny we're talking about it.
No, I was ready to bring it up here. And then the other stuff, too, that kind of comes to mind is, like, Loka Kani, which actually, when I looked more into the research for this interview, there is, like, Jerry Lee Lewis and other type of performers that were influential to you, all piano players.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And so, like, but so I'm watching it, and I'm like, gosh, it's like a Loka Kani show. It's like just such a energetic, powerful, like, just leader who owns this audience.
I haven't seen that person. I know who Loka Kani is. Yeah. Are they out of Asbury? They're out in Jersey. Right?
More Philly.
Oh.
More Philly, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I've never seen them play.
I think you'd love them.
Okay.
I think you would.
All right.
I mean, to the point of, I happen to want to, I love being, like, pressed up against the stage. So went to one of their shows, got up there early, and they were actually just setting up off of the opener. So they had to obviously, so he plays a legit stand-up piano, like a regular old piano.
Yeah.
And they wheeled it out, and you could see, like, 3 people who were doing the setup were, like, looking down at the stage, because the stage was, like, up chest height, so I couldn't really see what was going on. So I'm like, what are they looking at? And all of a sudden you just saw the piano go, like, it just fell into, like, a nook.
Like slots or whatever.
Because he is all over this thing. Like, he stands up on it, over it, back way, plays this way, surfs on top of it. I mean, like, he is incredible. And the whole band is amazing. Their music is great. But that was more this incredible vibe of, like, that was coming out for me, was this. And again, we're not supposed to necessarily focus on Musikfest, but, like, it was, like, such an awesome performance. So great. Again, that kind of frontman thing. So this kind of speaks to it. So you weren't seeing some sort of weird cut in the opening, because you'll see it as we get into some of these live performances. Drew is a stand-up drummer, which is not the most common thing.
No, it's not.
Right. But I wanted people to know that just off of that one video, it wasn't like that was a set shot. Like, you stand up and play.
Yeah, that was just...
And I know probably topic-wise comes up all the time, but I don't think a lot of people even have seen or know that that's even a thing. So I wanted to spend a little time on it to maybe even talk about how did that evolve for you? Like, did you have your jazz teacher saying, sit the F?
No, well, man, I never did any of that when I was still... It was like I graduated college, and at that time, my professor was John Riley, who plays in many, many, many things, but very known for, like, the Village Vanguard in New York.
Yeah.
All right, so he's... I don't know if I can call him house drummer still. I don't know. It's been so long. But just high-level playing drummer. And so at that time, I was really going for it, trying to get my jazz chops up. I would much rather sit down and play.
Interesting.
I can play better sitting down. I have my left foot back. I don't... And if I... like, I'm not tooting, I couldn't play the drums. It's just if I don't have to sing and I don't have to stand and sometimes keyboard, when we record... I'm just focusing on playing the drums, and I'm seated. That's the best way.
Yeah.
But it's
so you're not advocating for stand-up, but as far as singing and, again, commanding the audience, there you are, a lot more visible for them.
Yeah, well, it was just we never did Angel in the Blue where I was just. It never made sense for me to, like, sit and do it. I just didn't like that idea. And when you brought up Jerry Lee Lewis and especially, like, Little Richard, that energy. Just that, like, shout he has, and he is the man, and that was cool. Where it's like these people, and I've read books on a couple, one on Johnny Cash talking about Jerry Lee Lewis, and he said Jerry was just so sad one day because he was in a room with all guitar players. It was like with Johnny and Scotty Moore and all these guys. Like and Elvis. He's like, man, you guys can like run around, and I'm stuck at this piano. So then it was just like same with Little Richard. It's your way to like jump and do what you want to do.
Right.
It only goes so far, but it makes it more fun for me. So I hope it's more fun for everybody else.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I mean it totally is, and it's not out of the. I mean, like Stray Cats,
for sure.
Yeah, I mean they
That's the go-to. Yeah.
Right, and then there's plenty of others that have done it. Actually, I interviewed a band called the Hoot and Hollers, and their drummer is a stand-up drummer. So it's like it's out there, and it's a choice. Yeah. So it's this kind of thing where, again, I just like to kind of touch on these more unique things so that people who maybe not have ever experienced that before.
As a matter of fact, I am advocating for it.
Yeah, you should.
Because it's not another way. I mean, you can still do it and sit down and lead the band. There's a lot of jazz trios that do that.
Sure.
It's just learn how to play the drums and then do what you're going to do. That's what I would say. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And then it's interesting. Like, this is interesting stuff that if you aren't a performer, you wouldn't know. So you lose your left foot by doing a stand-up thing.
Yeah, which is just your hi-hat. Or generally, if you're a right-handed player, your left foot is your hi-hat. Which, you can do without.
Right.
It's just the balance is what makes it harder to play. That's why it's harder. Like, losing the hat, like, okay, there's some... Because if you listen to our album, you will hear my foot going, and you'll hear different things that I can't physically do live.
Right.
Yeah, so, that's what you lose. But it's not so much that the balance. That's, I don't know.
Any other things that you would either lose or even gain? Like, obviously, you play a keyboard. Occasionally, that's probably not as possible sitting down.
There's a cool band you might dig, Paris Monster.
Don't know.
It's two guys. I don't know if they still do it. I think it's Josh Dion. Forgive me, anybody, if I'm saying these names wrong. But he does right hand keys, and his left hand does everything else. He does exactly what I do, far better. He's a really great. He's a really, really good player, and they just do drum and bass.
Wow.
And their bass player really, you can tell he's busy because there's only two of them.
Right.
But no, that's a good example of Paris Monster. Other than that, I don't know. You don't gain too much. I think it looks cool.
Yeah. I mean, do you guys ever want to do something unique to tie your hand behind your back or anything?
He does. He covers enough ground with that.
Right. We started doing upright a little bit.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So in performances?
No.
Oh,
not
just
yet.
Yeah.
That's really tough. So in college I studied mostly upright, so I would love to do more upright in performances, and we're actually doing more recording with upright. But as far as going on tour, when you're traveling far, we all carpool obviously, and so to bring an upright is really difficult.
I can imagine.
Versus an electric, you can just kind of slide it anywhere. So it is the limiting factor, the size of it, but it is my true love. So I love doing it whenever I can.
That would be fun. Very cool. Anything that you mess around with, different instruments or?
No, I mean I mess around with the bass and other stringed instruments. I have a banjo, I have a mandolin, just all kinds of things.
Yeah.
But maybe at some point we'll get a little more,
fun
with it all.
Obviously, not every song has this surfy guitar component, but a lot of them do. Is that an affection of yours, or did that just kind of come out of writing the songs?
Yeah. I mean, I really had the influence there with some of those early songs and wanting to get that kind of more earlier garage rock, 50s, 60s sound.
Sure.
And so we just kind of played off of that and, take it and run with it then, basically.
Very cool. So let's get into this Musikfest experience. So how many times have you played Musikfest?
I think it was our third.
This is our third year.
That's what I thought. I was going to guess that. And so we're going to let this play a little bit, and then I'll bring the volume down. But this is a song called Faro Beach. Anything you want to share as far as a lead-in on this track?
That's him, man. He led the charge on that riff and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it started out with just that riff that we had, and then we just kind of built it all around that. Came up with some awesome lyrics, put some cool bass to it.
There are some really cool lyrics.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Absolutely. All right, so let's take a listen, and this also gives you a sense for the live experience of Drew and the Blue. So here's Faro Beach. love that sassy way you hit those cymbals from time to time. It's like this flippy, like, anyway, it's very fun.
Oh, thanks.
But a couple things to point out. It's roughly, it wasn't the hottest day at Musikfest, but it was hot as balls.
Yeah.
And not once did you, like, you're obviously still completely, did you start the set with the jacket on?
Definitely on a jacket. I tend to take it off by the end, especially in the summer shows.
But as soon as the set was done, you had that thing right back on.
Because, I mean, you look at my shirt, it's just...
But still, I mean, like, you are just pouring down sweat,
Yeah.
but such a commitment to the vibe, which is highly admirable.
I don't know. I like to... That's important. It's funny when
Totally
when he mentioned Van Halen earlier, you didn't mention the part where, like, just the setup for the show before anybody even came out. Just like, I mean, you can tell it better, but the presentation was almost as big as what the music was for that show.
Yeah. Well, just like that was like the greatest thing, and still to this day, that's like one of my favorite things, to go into like a huge arena or be at a huge festival, and you're outside, it's tough, but lights come down, sound comes blaring through, the guitar comes ripping through, the drums are going crazy, and it's just this like absolute chaos and just wall of sound, and then they come flying out, scissor kicking, doing all that. Got the denim jeans on and the look, or whatever, the leather pants and all that.
Just, a lot of bandanas flying everywhere.
So cool. I don't know what to do with myself. I still don't.
That's very cool.
So the visual is like, I don't know, it's so fun. That's
what it is. Yeah, no, it's the people love it. Like, that's what they want to see. Like, it really is very fun.
You told us about Rubik's Cube, right? Was that you?
I did not, but I do know of them.
Okay,
yeah.
Well, maybe we talked about it, maybe we didn't. We just played with them a month ago.
At the Funhouse?
Yeah,
right.
They kill it, man.
Yeah, they're amazing.
They're a show.
Yes.
And it was like, I didn't know I was gonna have that much fun. I don't think any of us knew. I knew that they're cool, but I was like, this is a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's why I always talk about this, and now you can obviously include, we didn't mention this before yet, but Reading, Pennsylvania is where we're at right now and where you live. If you just look at, obviously Philly, but if you come out of Philly to the Lehigh Valley and surrounding, we're so lucky with so many super talented bands across. I mean, I think there's no two bands that are in the same lane. Like, there's so many different sounds, too, that it's like, oh, you want, surf punk type thing? We got that. You want Celtic music? We got that. Jazz? Sure. Vocals, instrumentals, everything. And it's like, how lucky are we that that's just right here? And super talented people. So I love that. I think that's so amazing.
For sure.
So tell us about the Musikfest experience, maybe even prior years, this year, like here's what I'll share. I was, and I love when this happens. So you were like the Musikfest moment of all moments for this year. And by that I mean is you walk up to a stage not knowing what you're in for, and then you're like, just pump it into my veins, because it's like the energy's amazing, the sound is amazing, and you're almost like giddily laughing because you're just having so much fun just listening, and you just again feel yourself coming. You started bringing people up to the front of the stage and stuff like that, and I love when that happens. Raucous applause after every song, and then they just wanted another one. And so like, how is that feeling for you all, and did that happen at other Musikfests and so on? Because this is, look at me, zoom in on that. That's a good shot right there.
Product placement.
That's right. I must have known I was going to use it here. But the other thing I was going to just say is like, that is so fun to just experience and watch and see. How does that feel from the stage?
That one, particularly that show, was awesome. I say that with like the caveat with I just came home from a vacation, and then that was our first gig back, and we haven't played, and it wasn't a long time, maybe it was a month or something. So there was like, it wasn't, I'll say nerves a little bit, but also we haven't seen anybody in a while. I hope people come out, you know, so because I don't know, it just felt like we had a long time between our last gig. So no, in that scenario, it's amazing. It just like, that stage is great too.
It is great.
The Zinzenplatz stage. That was our second year there. This was the biggest year we did as far as people, coming up. The first year we did Liederplatz. It's a fine stage. It doesn't make a lot of sense
for your sound,
for this thing.
Right.
It's just, it's my favorite thing of all time. That was the most fun. So,
Right.
I don't know what you guys.
Yeah, how was Musikfest for you?
It's like incredible, like when you're on stage and you're playing something that like you feel really good about, and then the whole audience feels like you're feeling it, and then they feel it, and then they respond that way. It's like one of the top feelings ever. Like it's just incredible.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's great. Musikfest is always a lot of fun. I would always go up there like every year, just at least one day, catch a bunch of shows. So like to be able to now finally have broken in and got to play there is just awesome. And yeah, the crowd's always like super cool up there too. Like everybody's really into the music.
Yes.
It's like they're there for that. So that's always adding to it. Yeah,
musicians who come from other parts of the country, obviously, but even the world, are always like, what a great listening audience. And of all ages, like you have 4-year-olds, dancing around, all the way up to like 80-year-olds, all in a mix of that whole experience.
There was an 8-month in the audience.
Yeah,
it was.
Yeah,
happens all the time. And it's just such a wonderful festival from that regard, that it's so well attended, and people aren't there to just drink and eat. Like they're there for the music.
Yeah.
So it's very cool.
And it's so hot. This year was super hot and rainy, and so it's like the people who went, they want to go.
Yes.
Yes. Because you could just obviously you could just stay home. I don't mean like that, but it's like the people who go, it's like they want to be there.
Yeah.
And not just our show, obviously all the shows, because then we get walked around a while, and you just because a lot of our friends play. And it's just it's intentional for everybody. It's cool.
Yeah, no, it's super fun. So I hope that keeps happening and more shows happen for you all. Just talking about the music catalog, we talked about that EP called "Surfing on a Surfboard" earlier on. There only one full length album?
Yeah, so far, yeah.
The Drew and the Blue.
Yeah.
And so that came out in 2022, but there are some other cool singles that came out along the way. And then more recently, there was this Cigarette. Is that what the EP is called? Or?
Yeah, here you go. It's the single, yeah.
Right, yeah. And
Cigarette.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, that has more that's coming behind it. And then there was the more recent Monster Mash single. Which is really cool.
Which we would have, well, we can't, we have it copyrighted to press, like, for vinyl.
Yeah.
But we can't just rip it, like, on YouTube and everywhere. I mean, we play it live all the time, it's no problem. But...
No, it's awesome.
Yeah, just YouTube, there's a whole difference.
No, I listen. I run into that all the time.
Yeah.
Because I play all this stuff, and what's funny about YouTube is they're like, this is a copyright flag, and I'm like, you might even just argue flat out of fair use because I'm a commentary show. But secondly, the songwriter and performer were a guest on the show who gave me permission to play it. Yeah. Otherwise, they wouldn't be sitting there.
We won't give you a cease and desist.
No, right, exactly. Yeah. I appreciate that. But no, it always works out. It's just the first wave of YouTube are these bots. So they just are listening and they assume you don't have the proper permissions. So, whatever. Anyway, that being said, I totally get your concerns.
Yeah.
But yeah, so talk to me a little bit about, like, again... The music you go into the studio and record, and you're live and you're releasing this different stuff, and you have some new stuff on the horizon. Where is this headed? Because again, like, you clearly have a vision around this whole thing. Like, what may be kind of like in the magic potion or the mixed witch's cauldron?
I think we did the EP and we don't play those songs so much live. It was like a timestamp where it's like, oh, I love to really rock and roll, rockabilly. Then the full length album, definitely more surf influenced and things of that nature. For the next thing, we're working on the next album.
Yeah.
We have, I don't know how many songs towards it, 4 or 5 or something.
Sure.
So that'll be next year.
Nice.
But just trying to play exactly how we're feeling now. I mean, I've said it too many times probably, but like, it would suck to just be like, you play rockabilly, you play surf rock.
Right.
I don't think anybody wants to be stuck that way.
Yes. No, and again, that's even why we avoid trying to get into any kind of genre label, because whenever you do that, it's going to, like, even before they listen to it, they're making decisions. Yeah. And that's why I always, like, struggle with that. I'm like, I hate, someone will be like, okay, what's the sound? And I'm like, just listen, like, pick 1 or 2 songs and then make a decision.
You say it best, the genre.
Yeah, just the way I say it, it's rock and roll, and then there's this mix and there's like this subgenre, this and that, and it's one of those things, like, we'll all talk, like, we all like to use all those terms and really get technical and into it, and then at the same exact time, it's like, flip it around, it's like, step back and it's just rock
It's just
and
rock
roll.
and roll.
It's
That's
just,
exactly
I don't know,
that is a great way.
whatever else.
A lot of times on the show when somebody just insists, I'm like, it's the excellent genre. It's just that's what it is. That's what we bring on the show. Is only people who play excellent music, and then that's worth your time. Let's hope. So that's what I think I'll put you all in is the excellent genre.
We'll take it.
But
you asked about recording. And, and the garage we're in that we're filming. Is, when people listen to Cigarette, when people listen to Wicked Woman, and now our next tune, which they will hear at some point on your show, Jellyfish Jam. Yeah, those were all recorded in here.
That's so fun.
It's a little bit. We've had some help from a couple sound engineers. Got some panels on the walls. And it's fun though, man. When you're the in control of it,
I love it.
It's just fun. So this place inspires other things to come out, and there's that kind of deal.
The other aspect of kind of fun aesthetic you have going on here is the album covers and the website. Like it's really cool stuff. Who's the graphic artist?
Yeah, so that's a big couple of shout outs. So Adam Serrano has kind of helped us from the so the first thing we did was this with him was our album, which if you open it all the way, it has a cool like full scene.
Full scene, yeah.
But he's just great, man. He just works with everybody, sweet dude. And his wife Meg, she helps on like some of our shirt designs too. So they're just like a great duo.
Yep.
And so we worked with him on many things, even this Jellyfish Jam stuff that's coming out. That was all him. And then most recently we worked with the ever popular, I'll say, T-Bone and Aljax.
Okay.
So really cool dudes live not far from here.
Oh, fun.
And they
I love that new design.
Yeah, thank you. It was like, we wanted it to be kind of like, when I say Pulp Fiction, I mean like old comics.
Yeah. Not the movie.
Right.
Back to Tarantino, but
but
still works
all
anyway.
Roads. So we worked with them on one of the later things, but they work with and so does Adam. Adam. I don't want to say who he was just working with. He did just work with some big names.
Yeah, sure.
But T-Bone and Aljax, they're doing stuff with Nintendo and people like that. So my point is just, whatever you think of our music is very, good or bad, thank you. And then the art, there's sketches I'll do to say, can I have something...
To give a direction.
Something like this. But
and then they run with it.
They just kill it every time, all these guys and gals.
Absolutely. Yeah, so like I love the way the album covers are and the website is designed. Obviously, you talked about sound engineers. Like, just the whole thing is just, in my opinion, just heading in such a wonderful direction. People always make fun of me for overtly, just profusely giving compliments, but you deserve it. And I just really hope you all just keep on this trajectory because I think it's such an amazing, unique sound. And then this is, again, true for a lot of the people we bring on the show. You can listen to the recordings, and it's no disrespect to the recordings, but it does nothing compared to the live performance.
Right, yeah.
Which is just a cool way for us to transition into, you guys did say you might be able to perform today live in the garage here.
100%.
Snakeskin Boots, I think you were going to play?
It seems to be a crowd pleaser.
Yeah, for sure. Anything you want to share about that track or inspiration behind the writing of it before we have you guys hop behind the instruments?
That was your riff right out the bat.
Yeah, that was just like a fast, kind of country-ish riff that I had, and I think that one we were stuck on for a while. We didn't really just going through the motions, and then all of a sudden it just kind of clicked into place, and yeah.
It was a slow burn. If you heard like the early on, which isn't, we probably have it recorded somewhere.
Yeah.
It was something else, and then the first line of the song, I remember I was at the beach. It came to me, and however it did, I don't remember exactly, but I knew where I was. And then from there, I was like, oh, well, this is okay. For some reason, that kind of set the tone for it. But it's just fun. It's like fast. Everybody, if we kick off the night with that song, it makes everybody shuts up.
You're right,
Because it gets loud and
attention must be paid.
Yeah, it's not because they don't even know if it's good yet, but it's like, this is loud and fast, so I'm gonna chip it up. You know what I mean? Like, it's a dirty trick. But,
that's amazing. That's just funny. Like, I don't know if I like it yet, but it's loud and fast.
And it's fun. We kind of cook it in the beginning, which is like always fun.
For sure.
Yeah.
And let's get to some Drew and the Blue live music.
Let's do it.
Sounds good.
Anyway, we hitting?
Yeah. So here we come with the wonderful track Snakeskin Boots by Drew and the Blue.
Daikaiju.com. Check it out. Thank you so much, everybody.
Yeah.
One last thing I wanted to touch on was the upcoming shows.
Yeah.
So we're basically into November here. You're going to be down at the Queen. I love that spot. In
We've
Wilmington.
never been.
Oh my God, you're gonna love it.
Okay.
And I have a great restaurant recommendation. So
deal.
I'll give it to you in a second. After, But so that's on the 16th of November. Then House of Blues in Cleveland. I hear you guys go out to Ohio. It's not like your first time out that way.
Every year. I don't know if we got there twice a year yet, but the past 3 years we've been to Cleveland.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, huge shout out to Start Making Sense.
Yeah, oh, fun.
You know those.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they basically helped us get to a lot of different places where we've never been before.
Yeah.
And Cleveland's like one of those.
Yeah, and their band members just opened for your album release.
Yes, the Monster Mash thing we did. Ruby Deer.
Yes.
So we've been friends with all of them since they this shout outs to Sly Fox. We did a thing for
fun.
Sly Fox. Mm-hmm. They Start Making Sense was headlining.
Right.
I don't know. They're the kindest people. I don't know how they exist. I don't know why they're so nice to us, but like they're the best.
I run into that. The thing about rock and roll is the tendency is to think that it's a bunch of jerks, and I've yet to run into jerks. Like I keep running into super nice people who are like just simply rooting for everyone else.
Mm-hmm. And they're purveyors of that for sure. And so yeah, I mean she's saying it best. They got us on the road. We did a little bit of traveling prior to that.
Mm-hmm.
But man, they got us in front of people.
That's fun.
We can travel by ourselves, play to 10, 15 people, sometimes more, But with them, it's like, here's 400 or 500 people. It's like, okay. Great.
Yeah. That's awesome. So that's on December 6th. That's when you're going to be out in Ohio. And then December 7th, Mr. Smalls in Millville.
Yeah, it's like a Pittsburgh suburb, I think.
So that's routing your way back home, making it a little bit easier.
We play November 2nd, or is that not happening?
We are playing November 2nd.
Okay.
Yeah, so I didn't even announce that yet, but there's a cool, the Bunkhouse in Carlisle.
Oh, fun.
Is a little...
It's a fun little town.
Mm-hmm. We played Molly Pitcher a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been to the Bunkhouse, so I think it's going to be a good time.
Nice.
Do we miss anything else? So you hit November 19th, you got November 2nd, the December dates.
Yeah. And then obviously follow the socials. Yours will echo it, as things get announced for the new year, and hopefully something in Bethlehem again.
Yeah, we're going back. I loved the Funhouse, man. I'll love
That's
to
a great
back.
spot.
It's a good place there, yeah.
Did you see the one thing? It's like right over, so if you walk down, right by the end of the bar, so you walk in and it's the bar, and then it kind of ends, and then the band would be right there.
Yeah.
If you look up, there's like a legit World War II torpedo,
and
on the side of it says "fuck work." And my first time I'm ever in that bar, just off of kind of piecing my life back together, I'm looking up, I'm like, I'm gonna be okay, and I'm gonna come here a lot.
Someone has a good thought.
That's right, exactly. Yeah. So that was a really fun. It's a great space, and they put some amazing bands in there. Sometimes you're like, how did they even all fit? Mm-hmm. One time, some dude they had to move a ceiling tile out of the way because he was so tall. Anyway, it's a really great spot. And it's a super fun vibe.
Do you hear the Halloween scream?
I was just gonna say that's really added a very cool aesthetic.
I paid them.
That's right.
I said, stand outside of here and scream.
Yeah, make it sound like you're dying. It'll set the vibe. Anyway, people should just follow the socials, check out the website, buy the merch, and if you can come see a show, you won't regret it. It's loud and fast.
You said it best, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you all. And
what a fun interview with Drew and the Blue.
You gotta take these guest people with you on these interviews because that what a fun crew. That was just great.
Well, thank you. I mean,
and the garage, that's just awesome. I mean, that's the intimacy. I mean, it's just like you're there. It's part of. I mean, you're so lucky.
Yeah. No, it was super fun, and obviously, so this is breaking news for everyone who's listening, because there were some people here who were tuning in. This was so fun to have such a fun live stream here. There were people who were going, "Whoa, there's going to be live music. Let me give you an extra special gift. This is a Halloween gift from Drew and the Blue." Since they were there and they had the instruments set up and the sound was so good, they played 3 other songs. So there's a 3-song special kind of exclusive Halloween set that we're going to play tomorrow. So the new song, and people are asking for this too. That's one of the 3 songs. It's called Jellyfish Jam. That comes out tomorrow, and they played it. So tomorrow, live set, including Jellyfish Jam. We're gonna play it at noon. So like that's like a fun like lunchtime thing. The other reason why we're gonna, pardon me, play it that early is then it's available on demand the rest of the day. If we play it later at night, you know, it holds it back. So we're going to play it at noon. If you can listen at noon live, awesome. If you can't listen then, but you want to pull it up on demand, it'll be available from that point going forward. And it is such a great set. I mean, if you heard there, that's like a raw garage rock, just old school, you know, rock and roll. Like that's all that was. And so super thank you to all 3 of them for coming down, for doing the interview, and also obviously for playing. Snakeskin Boots, awesome song, like we talked about in that you know, the lead up to it, where it's loud and fast, and that's so great in so many ways. But it also is great music, great song. The rest of the catalog is amazing, and we've got 3 songs to feature for you all tomorrow. But James, we always play at the end here. What did we learn? What did we learn today?
Oh, geez, don't get me started. But you know what I love about them, the genre. There is no genre that can contain them, and I'm just so excited to see how they keep just, I wouldn't say reinventing, but just kind of evolving who they are, what they want to pull out, and it's going to be so exciting. I mean, you know, prior to this, I was listening to some of their old stuff. I listened to some of their recent stuff, and you know, Cigarette's a favorite of mine. But you know, you touched on all those in the interviews, and I'm like, oh, that's so great. And I love, you know, I love hearing who they're inspired by. That was really great. And so now I got to look up Paris Monster because I've never heard of them before. So now I got another band that I got to look up. So it's just been a wonderful time listening.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that. Thank you for joining tonight. And don't forget, everybody, we're going to play one more song. And what better song to play on Halloween Eve than Oogie Boogie? So they have this song that it's a Halloween anthem, and it has one of the greatest riffs going. So definitely stick around for that. We're going to do the credits here, and then we're going to play Oogie Boogie. But do me a favor. You saw it there. Hopefully you saw the difference between the recording and a live performance. It's still a recording here. The thing that you need to do is treat yourself to a live Drew and the Blue show. It is so good. We hope we can bring them in on one of our shows, but being from Reading, if you're from this area, they're going to play in and around, as you heard. They're going to be down in Delaware. They're going to be out near Harrisburg. They're going to be in Philly. They're going to be hereby. Then they go out to Ohio. I think they play sometimes elsewhere in the Midwest and down south. So like wherever you're at, bottle up some Drew and the Blue and capture that when you can. And it seems like they're going to be pretty much a regular for Musikfest, so you can always plan on that for August time. But listen, let's close this out. Let's get to the Oogie Boogie and let's get to Halloween. Everybody, definitely follow on the socials at Drew and the Blue or at Next Fave Band or both. And tomorrow, enjoy the 3 song Halloween set, including the brand new track Jellyfish Jam.
Right, Phil, let's say goodbye to everybody.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of Your Next Favorite Band. James, you just walked by the camera there. There's your head. We'd like to sincerely thank Drew and the Blue for having us over in the fancy garage of the Blue. And being able to kind of set up shop in there to do the interview, to record these incredible live tracks. And again, can't wait to play the extra 3 tomorrow, so definitely set your calendars for that. We would just like to kind of thank them for the backstories and this amazing opportunity to feature their music and their story. There'll be links in our show notes to the band website, to Spotify, the YouTube channels, Bandcamp, everything that we can do to kind of help promote their music. Check them all out, give them a like and a follow and a subscribe wherever you can. And certainly, obviously, catch their live show like we were just talking about. As always, our hope here on the show is to bring you your next favorite band. If you tuned in tonight, like many of you have, because you knew Drew and the Blue, thank you so much. It means a lot to us. We hope that you liked what you heard and what you saw, that you might subscribe to our show, and we can bring you your next favorite band in a future week. Or All of our episodes and our prior interviews are available at nextfaveband.com. Your next favorite band might already be out there. You just got to go find it. We'd love to help you with that. So if you want to reach out to us and say, give me more of that, or this is the genre I typically like, or just give me a complete wild card, we'd love to point you in the direction of some of what we think will be your next favorite band. We've got lots of great stuff coming up. Please join us for Winter Wonder Jam, and hope to see you at a live show soon. And make sure you stick around. One more song from Drew and the Blue, Halloween anthem, Oogie Boogie.
Something to scream about. Shake that stuff.